My name is Dr. Jane Goldberg. I am a psychoanalyst, and I am the owner of La Casa de Spa on East 20th Street. Welcome to my show, Musings from 20th Street. Today we're here for our 22nd group therapy, the Really Real Reality group therapy show. I thought I would begin today by admitting painfully that I made a technical error at the last show, the last session that we did. The error that I made was Barbara came to me. I'm sorry, she didn't come to me. It was actually part of the group process. Barbara said during the course of the group that I was attacking her, and I didn't think I was attacking her. I still don't think that I was attacking her. Nevertheless, and I said as much, that I didn't think I was attacking her. But nevertheless, to say that, to contradict her perception, was still a technical error. That the patient rules in group analysis and individual analysis sometimes too. So whatever is the patient's perception, it is not the job of the analyst to contradict it or not. It's just to explore it. So I want to apologize to Barbara. And I do accept that she did feel attacked by me. In fact, what I feel I do, I don't think that I really attack patients. I try to make a point of not doing that because I think it's not very useful. But I do attack patients' defenses. And because the defenses of the person are identified with who the person is, when I'm attacking the defenses, the person indeed does feel attacked. So I think that that's an explanation for why Barbara felt attacked. But nevertheless, I thought we might begin by talking about what it means to attack defenses and what the therapeutic process is by which that happens and how it feels and what good may come out of it. So here we are, group, welcome. And how would we like to start?
Well, I have to agree with you. I definitely last week felt severely attacked to the point where I would have jumped off the nearest bridge if I hadn't had such a bad cold.
Well, that absolutely would have cured your cold.
It also cured my mental issues as well.
Pretty much would have cured all
my pain, basically. But I've been in therapy for many years, and I find the people that quote, the therapists that love me or empathize with me or really want to heal me, which would be a miracle from Jesus, constructive criticism for me works best because I see things in black and white, because I have borderline personality and I'm very more sensitive than most people to everything. It's not just you, because I'm very much into words, and I've always been attacked my whole life, and low self-esteem, and I think some people here could probably relate that. The last thing I want to be attacked is I've been attacked by various members of the group for how many years now? How many weeks now? It feels like years. But yeah, I mean, I felt depressed when I left here last week, more than I felt helped. And I thought, what am I doing here? This is crazy. I feel like I'm back in my dysfunctional family, and let's pick on Barbara Day, which was every day. And I think that if people want to help me, I think the one person who's been consistently supportive of me is Dee.
Yeah, Dee.
And he gets me. And I don't know why he gets me, but I'm glad at least one person really understands and really wants to understand, because I'm not a bad person.
But you and supporting you and loving anyone in the group and supporting them. Feelings are like breath. You know, you breathe them in, you breathe them out, they come and go, and sometimes they're good breaths and deep breaths, and sometimes they're shallow, and, you know, they're all varieties. And that's how it should be here, that we will have love and we will have hate and rage, and, you know, I wish you'd jump in front of a streetcar, and
I almost did. The way I felt last
so I think that it's a disservice if you've been in therapy and there's been, you know, a kind of consistent feeling as opposed to a random assortment of feelings. I think if there's a full flowering of personality, there's always a random assortment of feelings that are stimulated toward you, against you, for you, by you. So, Paul, what do you think about that theory?
Well, I missed the last time because I had the bad cold. And I've commented in the past about Barbara, I think in a very caring way. And
maybe that's why she had such a bad week?
that I
'Cause
wasn't
you weren't here.
Well, I think I add some
Although she
dimension.
didn't, she only included D.
I noticed that.
Yeah,
Well,
you
let's
felt,
be consistent, though.
No, but you reached the high point with the support of the group, Barbara, 2 times ago, when everybody empathically dealt with you and your mom, and it seems like you've had an unnatural transference your whole life, that your mother was very combative with you and used to lock you into arguments back and forth. And I think you still perpetuate that, and you transfer that onto Lana. But the point is that 2 sessions ago that I was here, you reached an epiphany, I thought, with the help of the group. Everybody in the group, I thought, was caring and tolerant of your talking a lot. And I think, from my vantage point, and I am speaking as a psychotherapist and as a person, I think you need to hold on to that epiphany you had about your mom smiling at you when she was dying, and those good feelings that you had, and not to maintain the old behavior, which is counterproductive, because I think you can antagonize people by talking too much at times, And I think you need to hold on to the wonderful feelings
Yeah, she
the
already knows
group
that.
helped you with.
We need to keep bringing it
Yeah,
up.
I mean,
Keep
this
bringing
is
it
brought
I
up, like when you constantly
brought up,
say
like-
you're ugly, it's like saying you're ugly, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're stupid, you can't do this,
We know
you
she
can't
talks
do
a
that.
lot.
You
Yes,
mean
it's not helpful to keep repeating my faults, because I'll tell you I talk a lot. I will tell you I'm fucked up.
Yeah.
I will tell you that I hate the way I feel right now.
But maybe you don't
in
have
my
to
life
say
at
it so much.
54, that
We
I
just-
should be happy.
We just need to kind of work with it.
But Barbara, there are other people in the group,
No, but Paul, yeah, I'm trying to make a point because you keep repeating the same thing. It's like hearing you're no good, and the
No,
tape repeats
I didn't
itself.
say that.
No, but you're saying I know what my faults are. I don't need
No, he wasn't really.
somebody to consistently. But I'm here. When I was hearing it from the therapist, it's a little different
Yeah.
than the group, because then you're having the authority figure say you're not lovable. And I actually got jealous when you said to Carol in the episode that aired this week that, oh, I love you, and that's why I did say,
oh, envy is a wonderful feeling.
well, I'm constantly envious because the one person who did love me unconditionally, whether I was a mother effer or whatever, was my mother.
Do you know why envy is a wonderful feeling?
I never thought it was really wonderful because I
also
envy
a sin,
people who have a
you know.
job, for
Figure out
Christ's
the-
sakes, okay?
Envy is
That's
a
a
sin.
job, and I envy them.
It's a sin.
Envy is a sin.
But
Oh dear.
I have a lot of sense.
So
I wanna
It's
know.
a sin. Is
So
why
am I?
Envy
Is
one of the
this?
sins.
So
I
is
didn't realize
gluttony.
that.
So
I
is
like
it?
to
So is this? Am I an anti-Christian in thinking that envy is a wonderful
No,
feeling?
up until the other day, I didn't think I was anti-Christ either, but I used the word, oh, I envy you, and they were like,
Yeah, well,
it's like not wanting you
Beats
to have it, but
jealousy.
wanting it for yourself.
I want to know why
Covetry,
envy is a good
yeah.
thing.
Me too.
I don't think envy is a good thing.
Because it's a feeling.
it's a feeling.
Okay. She worships at feelings,
Yes.
right? That's what she said
Yes.
earlier, that her worship is for feelings. and
My
everything's
God
so-
is the word,
That's
and
right.
out of the word comes feelings and thoughts.
But I have a lot of
or
envy.
from feeling and thoughts
From the word.
comes the
So
word.
envy or
There's a lot of envy, though.
So jealousy couldn't be, or, murder, covetry, those sins in one context.
It's like
Wouldn't
gluttony,
be sinful
you
in
know.
another. But that's not a feeling.
The Ten Commandments, it does talk about feelings like envy, but it also talks about behavior. It says, what does it say about mother and father?
Thou shalt honor.
Thou shalt not kill your mother and father.
No,
I mean,
No, that's it.
Wait,
Honor could be feeling, it could be behavior, but thou shalt not kill is definitely behavior.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess, well, the Ten Commandments are Jewish, so I guess I'm anti-Christian, anti-Jewish.
Anti-Semite, right?
The commandments never spoke about envy. Those are one of the 7 deadly sins.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
covet.
So
Yeah.
I'm more anti-Christian.
Okay. Wait a second. Kate, don't covet thy neighbor's wife. That's envy.
That is
Yes.
That's a
that's
commandment.
adultery, but
Commandment.
Yeah.
Covet
Yeah,
is.
well, it's
No,
not
covet goes
specific
one
enough.
step
There's
beyond
nothing
I
wrong
think
with
Kate clarified when
coveting
she
is
said
a
the
thing
7
that
deadly
you're coming
sins
up, but if you
and
persist with it and really yield to the feeling in yourself, I could understand that might be considered like a sin. Where I am, I guess, is somewhat different.
So you think that the Ten Commandments should just throw it out the window and that it's not very useful at all?
No, but I think it should be filed along with a whole lot of other religious and philosophical and modern
That's all we were
psychology
talking
and
about.
sociology ideas, all trying to help guide people and make progress in human, social, and personal growth.
What does this have to do
Spiritual
with
growth.
what Jane was saying,
Well,
though? Because we
I'd-
went off the tangent.
I'd like to
completely.
respond to that.
Well,
I-
we're not going to stay in the same tangent,
No,
the same
I-
line the whole time.
No, no, but she didn't.
Amen.
She was asking.
Okay,
a
can I
question.
can
no,
I
but you're
respond
not
to that?
listening. She was asking
ahead,
a
Paul.
question.
The Ten Commandments to honor thy mother and father is kind of a dangerous situation because I think we've heard from each and every one of us here has shared that we've had kind of abusive backgrounds, and probably most people in therapy have had an abusive parent or two parents. So that's a very dangerous situation.
Actually,
It's widespread. It's all over the
Paul,
world, the
it's-
abuse.
Paul,
it's all over.
Yeah.
It's physical,
I'm
living on the face of the planet.
trying to
Excuse
hear
me,
from
Walter.
Jane.
Paul, it was very interesting because I wrote a short story called Honor Thy Father and Thy Mother, because my book is called How God Found Me, and it's kind of funny. But that was one of the most difficult commandments for me to come by. And at the end of the story, I realized the only way I could honor somebody
Yeah,
is by accepting the fact, honoring the fact that she doesn't want anything to do with me.
right,
I have to respect that.
right.
And that released me, and I had finally grasped the meaning of that commandment. Doesn't necessarily mean, how do you honor someone who abused you? How do you honor? You have to
Exactly.
honor the fact that they chose to do that, and that's their life, and that's what they wanted to do.
Right.
And that's not your fault.
And I made
And that
I made a
releases you.
documentary film to help my former wife called To Protect Others, meaning to protect the children from the abusive, molesting mother and father. And what's interesting is in the New Testament, the issue of forgiveness, the New Testament is not as forgiving and as obedient to the molesting parent, because it says, and I forget the quote, that the molester should, if they're not repentant, should have a yoke put around their neck and dropped in the ocean. It's in the New Testament. And I think what we know about the development of schizophrenia in individuals is that they are double-binded. You have a parent who, whacks you, smacks you, and says, this hurts me more than you. Bang,
And also, don't historically
Or
forget that
shit,
we're
I hate
definite. The Bible is a very practical book. Like things like circumcision were done to keep a disease away from people. Washing of the hands was to prevent. A lot of things done in the Bible are very practical.
Yeah.
Or at least
Things.
intended like
Things
that.
like incest. People had to. We were running around doing all kind of things before we got these guidelines. People
Right.
didn't know incest could cause these things.
Right.
And some of those things in the Bible about incest and molestation are really valuable in kind of a historical, sociological context, had a lot of value at the time.
Right.
I have to object to that about circumcision. I think that was
Oh my
ostensible
God.
and kept people saying that and dealing with it in the Bible were basically about other motivations, like we all are about a
No,
lot
no,
of
no,
our
it
motivations.
actually had-
Keeping
it
them,
actually has-
maintaining unconsciousness.
Walter, this is certainly not my thesis, but there has actually been a lot written on the fact that it was a hygienic thing put into a population that was having problems with cleanliness and in sexual situations and passing diseases, and that circumcision was a way for people to, it was a way for this to become
I'm
lessened.
saying that was only one
But this is not my
level.
theory.
Yeah.
I totally-
I'm
this
saying
is
I'm
from
not
other
saying it's
scholars.
necessarily yours, but
Go
I
ahead.
just
Step
really
in.
want to say that about
That are you
circumcision.
Okay.
that are
That I
you
think
doing?
it was
Please.
that was a conscious
So,
thing,
off the tangent.
and that
I know,
there was
but do you
there was
understand it?
destructive stuff.
Guys,
unconscious
isn't
that
this
was
off the
going on.
tangent
Yeah, it
of
is
what we
off
were
the tangent.
discussing?
I want to get back to what
About-
Jane said
I'm
in
an
the early
Episcopalian.
sessions.
Let's go to church.
Barbara.
let me comment on what you said a few
church
minutes
now.
ago, which is that to honor, about honoring an
Right.
abusive
Really,
parent. There, as far as I can think at the moment, there are two ways to honor an abusive parent. One of them is to go psychotic,
Right.
That's
and
a
the other
challenge.
is to get a lobotomy.
Right.
Oh, does that still work?
So you don't have to go psychotic because you have no mind to
I would
destroy.
love that.
And
Prozac does
They
that to
they
you,
destroy
actually.
it.
And Jane, I
Prozac's
think what
great
you're
for
saying
that.
there is that the abusive parent actually enjoys watching that child dilapidate into an inability to relate to others. And it's almost a way of ensnaring them forever.
Yes.
So they can't even function and get married and have their own
Right.
family.
It was.
So it's a
Yes.
very destructive thing. And I want to get back to what
Often
right.
while they
That was
maintain
a very-
unconsciousness
Right.
about that.
exactly.
About
That was a
that
very
And I
day.
think what
astute,
Dr.
observation,
Jane
Paul.
said in the early sessions, I remember.
Kay's telling you that
That was a
an
very
astute.
astute observation, Paul,
Oh,
that
thank
you
you.
just made.
No, but
Very.
what Dr. Jane said in the beginning was that somehow there are ambivalent feelings between love and hate. But I think the double binding parent creates that, where they say, oh, I really love you, and they whack you. And if that happens a couple of hundred times in childhood, it sets a pattern of confusion where the individual can never really externalize the anger towards that parent.
Oh, you externalize it, but you also don't
Yeah, yeah.
like my mother would complain, I never liked to be hugged because I
That
was
you
so
never
used
like to be hugged?
No, because she would say you never want me to show affection because I was so used. I got karate chopped on the base of my spine
yeah,
where
you
I would
shared
pee in
that,
my
yeah.
father's hand when he would do this, but he got his. But every time I saw a hand
you saw
coming
you-
at
you
me,
told us
it wasn't
about that.
this.
Right.
It wasn't this. So if you've never been hugged as a kid, or you've never been kissed, but you've constantly been beaten and berated and
Right.
and my toys were broken and thrown down the stairs.
By
That was
whom?
another thing. By my father. Because I was adopted, so I wasn't blood related. So
You were
therefore-
adopted.
by him.
Uh-huh.
But he took that out on me. That blood is thicker than water, and when you see that every day.
But your mother was silent.
No, my mother was frozen to do anything. It was the
Well, yeah,
'60s.
but see, you
she
let
didn't
her
have
off
her
the hook.
family around her
You
to
let
help.
her off the hook, Barbara.
No, I didn't let her off the hook because she did get out in 1967. And she got out when people never did. He tried to kill her a few times. Now, this is something a lot of people don't know.
I think Paul is commenting that there seems to be an abnormal absence of aggression toward your mother.
Right.
No, my mother and I argued for, oh my God, there was
Well,
hatred. At
Now
one
that
point.
she's dead,
But
it-
towards the end of her life, we
it seems
kinda
as though she's rather
rectified it.
angelic in your mind. So, EJ, how does it feel to be back?
Almost as if nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Sorry to
I
tell you
spoke-
that,
I
honey.
spoke way too soon.
A little bit. Pete.
I spoke way too soon.
And I'm sorry. I feel like Barbara was disrespecting you guys when you were having your discussion about circumcision. I feel like
Well, I don't think it had anything
Yeah,
to
we
do
know,
with
yeah,
the
unless it goes
topic.
back to that, we can't, yeah.
It really had nothing
mean,
to do with what we
right.
were talking about.
Everybody wants to
It
have some
did,
input.
because they were talking
27
about it.
minutes we have.
right.
Go
I
ahead.
just had a tough time with it going
Yeah.
from that
Yeah.
to just
It was
that.
totally off the
and
tangent.
so I wasn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't in
He
it.
wasn't
at
in it
all.
either.
Like, at
Circumcision.
all.
I was. You
I
know,
wasn't
I got
into it
the
at all.
But I mean,
conversation.
fine.
That-
I mean,
that's
circumcision
another
boom, and then
topic.
we're into it. But I just wasn't.
This is group therapy.
What was it you were saying? I'm sorry.
I can't remember. I just. It feels like
I
not
guess-
so much has changed. I felt sorry for Paul and Walter and yourself. I just feel like you guys were being disrespected because you were in a conversation and.
You-
Yeah,
It's
well,
like this
that does
explosion
happen.
on
It does
this end of
kind of,
the-
yeah, it does happen
Excuse me, you
sometimes,
feel
and I
sorry
do
for
the
me?
same to others.
I just feel like you were disrespected. I don't feel sorry for you. I just feel like you were being disrespected.
I was disrespecting the discussion. Of
No, no,
AJ.
you were being disrespected
Yeah, like
By
you were,
who?
you were
By
talking.
Barbara.
by Barbara and
Well,
me.
but because we
Oh,
both
no,
thought
I
that Jane
did-
asked a question that
No,
wasn't being
here's what-
addressed in a sense.
Well,
I
didn't
think
do anything wrong.
the commonality that we all struggle
But now he
with
thinks I did
is the
something
parent that is ambivalently confusing to us for the rest of our lives. That, I think, has more applicability than
Yeah.
half of the people, the circumcision issue.
Well, that,
So
yeah.
I agree
I
with
think
that.
we're all struggling with parents who abused us and then tried to make us feel like they loved us.
No, we are.
Because I had an abusive mother
Yeah.
and an abusive stepfather, and I've heard from most of the other people here that we're all struggling with the abuse we experienced in childhood. And Dr. Jane in the early sessions talked about that ambivalence between love and hate. But that ambivalence, I think, has to do with the double bind. The parent willfully laying onto the child, the victim, this crippling inability to get angry because they use the words of love.
Well, Paul, it was so funny when you said that earlier. When I had called my mother after a very long time, I think 20, 15 years, 17
Just
long time.
recently?
No, a couple of years ago. The
Uh-huh.
first thing she said to me, "Are you on welfare? Are you living on the street?" I'm
That's
like,
nice.
no, I live on the Upper East Side, a very nice apartment.
Right.
I have, but what you were saying is true. That's where the intent was to guide the child.
To invalidate you.
You're right. To notice, to set a scene and a modus operandi
Right.
behavior that will put you over there, so that you
Exactly.
So yeah.
Put
To
you
cripple
over
you
there.
emotionally,
Put you in a place.
that you won't be able to say anything.
Right, that I wouldn't be able to have
Right,
an
and I
apartment,
think-
like Dr. Goldberg said, like I wouldn't be able to have a life or pay my bills, like all of these things would be so dysfunct, I would be,
And that justifies
On the
her
street.
behavior towards you.
ultimately, yeah.
Yeah.
On a lot of
Yeah,
levels, they're
yeah.
not dealing with you. They're not dealing with you.
Right.
They're making you into their parents and their siblings from their
Probably
old
more,
scenes.
yes, probably
But I
very
think-
much so, Walter, and that's because these things are, Paul brought it up before, what they're generational?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's where envy comes
Generational,
in,
yeah.
because everybody who's ever been
And
And
abused,
environmental.
I'm envious of people who have good families. I'm envious of people who have a partner in life. I'm envious of people that have jobs. It's like things that I took for granted for so many years, because it would always be, oh, there's the woman who's having dinner by herself on Thanksgiving, and I felt horrible for her.
So, do you remember what I said about there should be a random assortment of feelings that each of us have toward one another? So, before this group ends, you need everyone in this room to have, at some point, loving feelings toward you.
It's hard to
I
hate.
had
No, and I think that happened 2 sessions
Yeah, I
ago.
think we did.
So we shouldn't continue it, right, Paul?
That's-
No, she's saying that they change. Doesn't mean like the whole cycle might go around.
I don't
My wiring is just way off, okay? I'm sure a couple of people might agree to this, but that's just how I'm wired. And because a lot of it's
You've
environmental.
been set up that way.
No, but a lot of it's environmental. A lot of it is heredity. I mean,
No.
you
Why,
can't-
what,
you can't-
psychoanalysis changes wiring.
But I haven't had enough psychoanalysis
changes
in my
genetics, it
life.
changes wiring, it changes emotions, it changes
But
everything.
Jane, I've had a lot of crappy therapists. We were saying there are therapists.
What does that have to do with me?
No, because you're not going to cure me in 16 weeks. Now, if I see you like Woody Allen for 30 years, by the time I'm 90,
Oh,
I might be cured.
I think once resistance is dispensed with, once the patient actually cooperates with the
Good
treatment,
point.
cure happens like that.
But the group,
Right.
when the group
Yeah.
ends, though, I'm back to where back
The-
to square one. You know
The
what I mean?
Frank
I
Sinatra
think it's a
song.
little less
Eliminate
dramatic
the
than that.
negative.
It happens
I
in
think
areas
that's
that
Okay,
he's
now wait a minute.
related
I've
to.
got 3 people talking simultaneously, and I want to tell you that if anyone is talking and the whole group is not paying attention, this is an expression of self-hatred. Because if you're just talking into the air and people aren't listening to you, you know, all you're saying about yourself is, I guess I don't deserve to be listened to. You're not taking the floor and really asserting yourself and being a presence. So I know, so the 3 of you were talking, so at that moment, all 3 of you were hating yourselves, as well as hating each other.
What about if I don't give a
I
shit
don't
what
think
anybody's
so.
saying? What am I saying about myself? That's
Then you-
exactly what's happening to
You have the destiny of Narcissus, who is just
me. There you go.
cut out
He's a god
all,
in his
Oh, yeah,
own
he
mind.
is. Absolutely.
cut out all the simulation from the outside, and
That
just
happened for a
Oh,
split
come on.
second.
You don't ignore what I
What?
say.
a split second we can forgive.
That's why I love you.
I just wanted to ask you, Walter, how do you feel like right now? Because I hear a lot of like things, theories and
Yeah.
stuff, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to know how you're feeling.
Good
Because when you
question.
came in, you seemed a little down.
A little angry, disgusted.
Okay.
Angry and disgusted with us.
I didn't like that last one. You came out with that.
You didn't like something I said.
Yeah, the
So
one
you're angry
about,
at me?
We're hating ourselves.
Uh-huh.
Although I have to say there is some value in speaking to everybody. I kind of like it.
But you feel angry.
But I
disgusted.
feel like it's a bit of a free-for-all here, and some of that is okay. And I also wanted to say something earlier came up. I'll talk about getting love from everybody. We were saying that to Barbara. I'd love to have a group hug at some point.
You can have a verbal group hug.
No,
We don't talk.
that's not good enough. I expect that wish for a group hug, a physical group hug, is probably not going to be met, and not in this group here. but I'm just expressing my feeling. I would think it would be better. Some of these rules that are used in psychoanalysis to guide groups, I don't terribly like them, although there are still things happening good enough that keep me here and make me feel a lot of positive energy in the afternoon after when I'm walking or traveling uptown.
But Walter, I know you really like expression, and I know you like expression of all different forms, and that's really important and meaningful to people to do with their lives, in their lives. This is very specific, what we do here. You know, it's like if you want to learn jazz piano, you don't go to a classical piano teacher. This is a technique, and you learn, it's a skill, and you learn this as you do it. So
Yeah.
Molly, you need to say something before the group
I have a
ends.
point to make. I have a question, really. I'm just wondering, wanting a group hug, is that because you want to feel vulnerable with everyone? Because I certainly don't share that
You
same
don't want to hug?
Well,
desire.
I think everybody needs a
I
hug.
want to share my feelings.
I like
E-
No, I'm
EJ.
curious, Paul.
EJ,
Yeah.
that you just
Hug
were a
the
better
one you're
analyst
with.
than I was, because you actually analyzed it as opposed to just telling what the rules were. Thank you.
I think I was
Well,
afraid of it.
I'd
I
like
needed
to
really
answer your
analyze it.
question.
But also, and maybe would there be, and if that is the case, would there be another, like an alternate way of feeling vulnerability with everyone besides,
Well, I'd like to
Embrace.
answer your question. You said, is that because of some need I have to feel vulnerable?
with the group? Yeah.
If that's true, it's not the first thing that comes to consciousness. I love the physicality. I need to feel loved. That's the and physical. I love
Love the one
contact.
you're
I
with.
gave you a hug when you walked
Yes,
in.
yes.
You asked
It
for a
wasn't the
hug,
whole
and I
group,
gave
but
you a
it was
hug,
good,
but
yes.
it was before the group.
Thank you.
I don't know
Thank you.
why there's a problem. Like if you have a spontaneous moment, like there was one where I wanted to just touch Dee
Oh,
on
don't
the
start
shoulder.
with touching people on the shoulder.
No. But
I
some
got
people
mine
don't
last
like.
week.
No.
Please.
I know you did.
Oh, good
But
Lord.
I'm just saying that sometimes people need to feel. I'm not necessarily hug. But
Yes,
that
it's
touch.
just that
And
this
you-
is
it's
not,
almost
This is a
automatic.
verbal
When you
thing.
feel close
You
to
don't
somebody,
know
you
what
wanna-
Barbara,
yeah.
this is not this technique.
No, I know it's not a
Uh,
love in San Francisco from the '60s. Yes, I'm aware
Okay,
of that.
I
That
want to
laugh
share.
was great.
Well,
That was big. That laugh you just did.
I want to share
It's funny.
that when we were all, I thought,
It's great.
helping Barbara, and Barbara had that epiphany, and as she started crying, I was sitting to her left, and I actually wanted to reach out with my right hand and touch her on the back.
Yeah.
I really wanted to do that, but
You
I
made
heard
me
the
cry,
voice
you're gonna-
saying,
Right,
"Oh,
right.
you're not supposed to do that." And then I got into this whole thing about group philosophy and the humanistic model and all that stuff. So I'm responding to Walter's statements and feelings about that. But I thought maybe
Well,
the
we need-
wisdom that
we need to stop, and
Me?
I want,
No.
since Molly hasn't essentially spoken, I want Molly to do the sum up.
all right.
It just seems to me that you guys have issues with rules, and that has nothing to do with the rules. It has to do with attitudes towards authority. So,
On that note, what an interesting idea. See, you need to talk more.
I'm waiting for people to give me a chance. And
Oh, no, this
I know.
this group's not going to give
Jump in,
anyone a
You gotta
chance.
jump in.
I'll
Yeah.
jump in. I'll
Just
jump in.
leap in the
if need
water.
be, But
I think,
They were-
Molly, if need be.
they were intellectualizing so much, but
That's
not
true.
talking about what they're really feeling, and it just didn't seem like the forum to even interject.
Thank you. How can we create
Oh,
a
you
forum
can
so that Molly can interject with feelings? Thank you, group.